Now, we have an extra special treat for you. This is one of my favorite women in the world. Totally fangirling here. Our next speaker is an incredible force for good in global retail and has an extensive CV as a businesswoman, broadcaster, author, and activist, and has been awarded an OBE for her services to business, to broadcasting, and to charity.
You could know her from many things.
Many things.
From her BBC series, Mary Queen of Shops, or from Channel 4's Great Climate Fight. But she's also reinvented the Save the Children's charity shops, and she's established her own charity shops that have raised over £30 million.
Incredible.
But you may also have read some of her brilliant books, Work Like a Woman and Rebuild, How to Thrive in a New Kindness Economy.
We are really proud to have here for many, many reasons, but especially because as co-chair of the Better Business Act, she heads the coalition of businesses calling for a change in the law to UK companies to ensure that they align their interests with those of wider society and the environment. Everyone, it is beyond an absolute privilege for us to welcome to this stage for her session, The Business of Beautiful Business, the indomitable Mary Portas, OBE! Woo! Amazing!
I thought my jacket was a bit much today, then I saw Solomon's. That was some beautiful jacket. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to start by taking you back to a time that, frankly, few of us in business want to revisit. The summer of 2020. Yes, I know. And it was chaos, certainly for me at that time, with so many of us emerging sort of bruised and battered from COVID, realizing that this big, crazy storm that we were in the middle of wasn't going to stop anytime soon. I had all 3 kids at home. The house was in chaos. I was raw from my recent divorce, raw from turning 60, that wasn't easy, raw from the constant, relentless uncertainty of our business and that of our clients. And we found ourselves at my agency taking daily calls from businesses who wanted to be on the phone for what seemed like hours, just asking and trying to find answers. And we were also getting weekly calls from TV and radio wanting me to go on and discuss and give some answers as to why, particularly in my area, why so many retail businesses were collapsing, and also why some were doing so well. I, at the time, was deeply concerned about my hair, because my roots had started to come through, and my orange bob just wasn't looking good. In actual fact, I went on TV because my daughter went, "Mama, stop it, you're being ridiculous." So I thought, let the grey show. And I started talking about all this stuff and how we needed to create better business. And all they wrote about was, "We didn't recognize her, look at her hair." True. So I'm in the kitchen, and we're on Zoom with my team, and an interview request from the Today programme had come through asking much the same thing. And we were there debating and structuring our answers. And it kind of seemed quite simple to us. We'd written a book during lockdown called How to Thrive, Rebuild, How to Thrive in the New Kindness Economy. And we started coming up with these answers. This is pretty straightforward. There's 2 camps that businesses fall into. There's the future-facing businesses who want to do a better way of business, right? The changing ones. They're the goodies over in that camp. No, they're the goodies on this camp, my phone. And then there's the ones who are behaving as if nothing had changed in the world and still just driving after growth and profit. Growth and profit. And so I kind of, in my head, had these great examples of what those businesses were. And in my head, I called them the angel businesses and the devil businesses. It was really easy putting them into those 2 camps. You know, angel, the one that I kept on coming out with and I loved, was the business Patagonia. Yvon Chouinard and his family, he was the owner, the original owner, had created one shareholder for their business, and that shareholder was Mother Earth. That was just so beautiful. And every profit that they made would be used to protect the environment and combat climate change. I had some really good examples of devils, let me tell you, especially in the fashion business. But my favorite was Philip Green. Please bear with me on this one. And actually, my team would say, please stop giving that example, but I just couldn't help it. Because I would paint this picture of a man extracting 2.2 billion in dividends, or as Richard for the Times reminded me, his wife offshore was getting those dividends. And then he sailed off on his yacht when all of his business collapsed, people put out of work in a pair of Speedos. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We can't get too serious on this morning. Philip Green in his Speedos. It's still in my mind. I've got to move on. But then I started to feel uncomfortable as I could really hear myself talking in extremes, evangelizing the good businesses, and quite frankly, there wasn't enough examples that I was being able to pull on. And then I'd be demonizing the bad, judging and berating not only the businesses, but consumer behavior, including my own, my family's, my friends, you know. But when we started to look at it, something shifted. The more we had time, we realized that the pace of change for business was just ridiculously slow. You know, there wasn't enough of us. There wasn't enough of people shifting over from the devil's side and growing some wings to become angels. And what we realized when we stopped moralizing and started to really analyze why were, the big question we were putting out, why, when we know most people know that the world is in a very rocky place, why were they still going about consuming and running businesses as if nothing had happened? And what we actually started to see is that most people were just struggling, not only just struggling financially, but really understanding what it was that they needed to do. They knew that change needed to happen, but they just didn't quite know what that path entailed. You know, yes, how do we live better? Of course I want to live better. Of course I want better for my kids and my family, but I'm bloody confused. And what was even worse, so many of them just became apathetic. And they just continued as they normally did. And the businesses that we were helping to navigate and coming to me and my consultancy, they were saying, look, we've got this intent, but we could see that they were full of fear. You know, they were confused, they were panicked, and they were really, actually, most of them just trying to keep the lights on and keep people employed. And the harder we listened, the more we realized quickly, there are no devils and angels. They aren't just the goods and bads. It's not that simple. Actually, we're both. All of us are both, in varying degrees. Yes, even us lovely B Corp sitting here today. Because, and here's the most important thing, we're human. We're not just consumers. We're not just business owners. We're human. Beautifully nuanced and contradictory humans. In our hearts, we know what's right, but we don't always do that. And or doing what's right some of the time, most of the time thinking, oh, just fuck this, it's just too hard. That's the truth. And even me, I couldn't be more conscientious when it comes to buying better. Yes, I have my limit of what items I buy that's new. But that doesn't stop me on days when I'm shattered, scrolling through the internet and buying my 12-year-old son some shitty plastic-made football shirt that will get delivered the next day. That happens. We all behave in this way. It's the same in business. I was thinking, what examples have been extraordinary, innovative, moved the dial forward? Take Tesla. I mean, you're probably one of the most progressive businesses when it comes to innovating solutions that help our planet. But look at Elon Musk now. I mean, cozying up to Trump and talking absolute toxic crap. How does that happen? Because we're all of us together imperfect. And it's such a simple human truth. But it's fundamental because making better a moral debate, as I was, and still so many influential people in politics, in business, are doing, instead of a human one, I think is really stopping us make progress. And if you look at the world today, it's why we're so polarized. I mean, just look, not just in consumer culture, but in all culture. Look what's happening in politics, in the Netherlands, in the US, in France, the list goes on. Everyone taking their own moral high ground and separately achieving so little. Culturally, we're at war, cancelling one another, focus far more on what divides us than unifies us. And when it comes to business, when my business became a B Corp, we were really proud. It wasn't easy, but we were really proud on achieving that. We wanted to be better, and we wanted to be amongst other businesses that shared our values of wanting to be better. But we knew, and we didn't want that to be where the work ended. And we see being part of the B Corps as a community of us coming together to share values and to share goals. And our end game in this room today just can't be to share the betterment for ourselves and keep within a bubble. We have to go out to the world and show what betterment means and take people with us to sell a new way of living, a new way of buying, a new way of doing business through our power as people of influence and businesses who are showing how. And here's what's really important, and we're going to get to this. We need to make the people around us feel it, believe in it. And it's more than a lovely logo that we put on our website and on our office door. But it has to be a movement. And a movement that really ekes into the normality of society. And it has to be seen as progressive, as a modern way of not just the conscientious few, but a modern way to live life. And that means motivating and including all the nuanced, the messy, the contradictory. Maybe not Philip Green in his Speedos, but I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. But that's our goal. And when you know that we're all imperfect and you start from that premise, what you understand then is what the behavioral economists call the say-do gap. The say-do gap is the disparity between people saying they want to do the right thing, but not actually doing it. And when you look at the stats on that, it's in all of us, by the way, 65% of people say they want to do and buy more sustainable brands, and only 26% do so. It's a bit like, saying, yeah, I'll go fully vegan, and putting that Tim Spector Zuzu dead badge on your arm, whatever it is he's got. But I still want to wolf down a bar of dairy milk and a bottle of red wine. Yes, I do. That's the way it is. It's the same in business too. All those times we sat with new clients coming to us wanting to do better, most of them are saying, yeah, but we've still got to make our profits. We've got to hit these targets. And they kind of put the ESG green agenda over there. That's the say-do gap that's paralyzing action. And that's what we need to shift the dial on and trade and start to drive change at a scale. And there's plenty of research that's been done on this say-do gap, and there's plenty of theory written on it too. But there's not many answers. And I think that's because we're all going through, and it's all very new to us, and we need to understand that. We are going through the greatest crisis that humanity's ever seen. And within that, we've never been so aware of our role as not only citizens, but as business owners, on how we can affect change and our responsibility to humanity and planet. We never had that. I'm currently writing my book on my years at Harvey Nichols, pretty consumer heightened years. And, this was in the 90s where, we would just take a branded handbag and you'd put the margin up by 100 and 200%. I didn't know what impact we were doing. I genuinely didn't. There's that lovely parable of two little fish swimming through water. The big fish swims along and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the little fish swim on, and then one turns to the other and says, "What's water?" That's how I was in a consumer environment. Had no understanding of the impact. So the big question that I'm working on with my team and continually working on is how do you shift that dial on the say-do gap? That's the exam question. So we lived with the question. And this is never easy for me to live with the question. I like to have answers. I'm very inspired by the poet Rilke, the German poet Rilke. If you get any chance, guys, read his work. And he had this beautiful, beautiful advice, actually, to a young poet many years ago. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given fully to you, because you are not able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. And what he meant by this, and what I love about this, is most of us, and particularly in business, have been trained to control outcomes, to work within systems that operate to control outcomes. And the thing is, there is no one simple answer to this, and no one simple answer that we can control. But if we live with the question, and you can all decide what that question is within your business, within your lives, invariably, how can we do better? How can we create better for humanity and the world? What it does is it starts to open up possibilities that we hadn't thought of previously. And it got me and my team to this really simple approach, which we called beautiful business. Now, the beauty that I'm referring to here isn't just about the aesthetic, or there's part of that that's deeply important, or the neurotic and superficial standard of beauty that certainly the fashion and beauty industry and consumer industry has dined off for years. Beauty today is a true expression that's based on harmony, balance, and truth. And what we kept on going back to when we did our research was this, that it came up time and time again. So no matter how good your business is, or how true and ethical and progressive it is, people's desire for beauty is deeply rooted in their biology and psychology. And once you start to understand that, you understand that when our research came back time and time again, people were saying, I want to trust a company. Yes, I want, that's vitally important. To do good and be good, I want to feel safe that that company's making those decisions for me. But their perception, or our perception of beauty and what makes us feel good has a real psychological and profound effect on our well-being. And being surrounded, or even indeed buying beautiful things, is often associated with status and identity, and that leads us to desire them as a way to express who we are and how we fit in to the social hierarchy. But it also, more than that, it enriches our lives. It does bring us joy, meaning, and giving us a sense of connection to the world around us. I can't answer it all here on the stage today because I've only got God knows how long and they'll kick me off. But it's a complex interplay of innate biological instincts, psychological needs, and cultural conditioning. And what we have to remember in whatever business that we're doing is desire is the most powerful driver of human behavior that exists. Yet somehow, within the green economy, we've made it a negative thing. historically, when we start to look at the big success of the consumer brands, of which have been extraordinarily huge and had major impact on our planet, desire was what was used to drive rampant consumerism, using the power of brands to sell us more stuff and telling us that we need more stuff, and it was never enough. And if we look at the stats, we've never been so sad and well-being being so low. We know it doesn't work. But boy, was it successful in selling us a lot of stuff. But what we're now doing, and so much of the green economy is doing, is the opposite. Asking people to lessen their desire, buy less, be more responsible. But tragically, when we look at the stats, it's not working. It's certainly not working fast enough. I don't know if all of you know that lovely Chinese brand called Shein, or Shine, or Shit, or whatever it's called. Do we know it? Is there anybody wearing it? Is there anybody in the audience? This would be a great test. But it would be easy for me just to say this, and go, take it, don't buy it. But take the girls who buy that, really. They're looking to go onto the London Stock Exchange. It fills me with just such horror. But many of those girls who buy them, most of them know the truth about where it comes from. Most of them know that this is not good for the planet. But they still buy it because they've done an extraordinarily good game of seduction and cheap. It's massively powerful, and they're seduced. Even though all the very cool green influencers go online and tell them, and if you listen to this stat, which was last week it came out, which was deeply depressing, Shein was named the world's most polluting fashion brand. Its carbon emissions have trebled since 2021. It doesn't stop them buying it. And that's why we cannot ignore the power of desire. Now, what I'm not suggesting is that we use desire to drive more consumption. What I'm suggesting is we use desire within the mix to be and buy better. Because desire isn't a negative thing. There's many things that we desire and love that gives us such joy. But when it's used in the rhythm of life, when it's in rhythm together, and it works with really positive human forces of trust, desire and trust, that's what we call beautiful business. It's the alchemy of those two really simple human forces coming together. We kind of instinctively did a huge amount of work, and then we thought we've got to get analytical, and I really hate getting analytical, but I have a bunch of people who do that for me. And we partnered with this incredible polling company called More in Common to create this nationwide study called the Beautiful Business Index. It's early days, and I will let as many of you know when it is out, but these were some really interesting stats that came up showing us this. People will actively reject brands that they distrust, but people will actively choose brands they desire, even if they know they shouldn't. So how do we help them do the right thing without sacrificing how good they feel, and do the desirable thing without sacrificing their conscience? That's what we need to do. And it can be done. It can be done. We've been working with many businesses on this across any price point and across any sector. And it's not just about fashion. I'm talking about all of the industries, particularly in the consumer industry. It's not easy to do, and it's taken us a good few years to dig deep and understand the approach. But what is important to it centrally is how you structure your business in this way. This is not about your regular business operations here with your branding and marketing crew there pushing out messages, and your ESG department over there making sure you're doing the right thing. No, that doesn't work. This is about, and that's still how many businesses operate, particularly some of the big operations. This is about fusing trust and desire into the core of your business and brand and behaviors, one singular vision and strategy. I thought, right, I'm going to take you through a few examples. Is that all I've got left, 125? Oh, no, I haven't. No, okay, this is going to be good. Let's think about who's done this, right? Because I get this asked many times by the press, because everybody wants examples, to say, can we still make money? Yes. Yes. Because we do want to make money. We want businesses, we don't want all doing this. We want businesses that matter and can still be profitable. If you were going to start a beauty business today that balances what I talk about, trust and desire, a beautiful business, you'd bring back the divine creature who is Anita Roddick and you'd start the Body Shop. Right? Thank you. I just did, they have that BBC program. Am I going over my time? Anyone in the front row? Sorry, I'm going to go over. Anyway, if you were, you'd do her business. And I'm going to just show you the examples of trust and desire and how she did this. So this was a pioneering business that ticked every box. It was ethical, it was daring, and it was kind of sexy. It was like punk spiritualism. You know, she got out there, she didn't care. She was an activist, she made it sexy. And she saw her business, and I love this, when people talk about purpose, you know, she saw it just as an incubator of the human spirit. How wonderful is that? She didn't want a factory of production of goods than service. She saw this as an incubator of this. And she got these followers, spiritual followers. I mean, I don't think there's anyone in this room who hasn't been into a Body Shop. Then they sold to L'Oreal. No offense if anyone from L'Oreal is in here, but, you know, there you go. And many lost trust and boycotted it because L'Oreal did animal testing. So the trust started to go from the brand. They also did some shit packaging, but nevertheless. And the desire was dampened because this incredible figurehead with soul and heart and joy that she brought and that activism, it just went with it and it lacked, and you could feel it going into a corporate system of let's get the messages around, probably about 20 people analysing, is this right, rather than it coming from there in the way that she did. Pre-owned, okay, 15 years ago, I don't know if anyone saw it, and maybe it was 15, I don't know how long ago, but I did a show called Mary Queen of Shops, and I went into the charity shop sector. And I turned up because, and it was actually more of a comedy, but it was such fun. And, you know, the average age, the charity shops, people dumping stuff on the streets, the average age of the people in the charity shop was 82. And I'd hear the bus pulling up, I'd hear, shh, and they'd get off. And they'd come in, and they were so cute, I couldn't bear it. And they'd pick up the bin liners with dog pee on it that people had dumped. No one gave a shit. You know, it was like, oh, I'm donating. No, you're not, you're dumping. And they'd come in, and they'd take everything out, and they'd put a little sign on it saying, and one of them, I called them the Toy Twins, you know, took out a Barbie doll with no head and put a price on it. And that's got no head, so someone's donated it, dear. Okay, how do I move them forward? How do we get ourselves into an evolutionary modern business? But it suddenly struck me, I used to go back to my agency and tell the stories of what I was doing in the charity shop. And they were like, God, why can't, let's try and make secondhand sexy. Let's try and redefine this. And so we went to 5 different charities, and I said, we're going to give our services for free. I've got the best creatives, greatest innovators. We're going to give our time for free, and we're going to come in, and we want to redo your charity shops. We went to 5 different charities and make them places of respect, joy. We're going to take all the codes of desirability from the luxury brands, and we're going to make your charity shop. 4 turned us down. It was a woman that said yes at Save the Children, and in we went. And the first thing we did was we took the word charity off the top of the door. Because we didn't need to bash people around the head. We're going to show you what good is like. And we called them Mary's Living and Giving. And they're the most profitable charity shops. We've raised 32 million. But what I wanted to get to was vintage, and it's not because of me, although it's a little bit, and upcycling and recycling. And even if you look at what Oxfam are doing now, it's really cool. Crisis are doing really urban, cool takes on it. But what happens is we're now seeing pre-owned sales surge by last year 18%, 300% faster than fast fashion. Now, it's coming from a low base, but it's starting to be a badge of honor. You know, I often find I'll meet people for dinner and they'll say, oh, my daughter's only buying secondhand, Mary. And it's becoming a badge of honor. But we need to make that bigger. Desire, sexy, doing good, the mix of honesty, integrity together. And then I'm going to finally finish on loo rolls. Has anyone buying Who Gives a Crap? Oh my God, how much do you love that stuff? We had an office in Melbourne, and the guys were starting off the business and wanted us to work with them, and we just didn't at that time. I think we were too busy. I'm so jealous. So Who Gives a Crap, for anybody who doesn't give a crap, is this incredible, they've just taken the most basic product and made it desirable. I mean, it was just so clever. They've packaged it in the most wonderful colors and wrapped up paper. Everything's recyclable. So when you have it on your loo, you're saying to people, I do give a crap and I've got taste. These wonderful wrapped loo rolls, which incidentally, you know, aren't the softest down below. And you know when you go into supermarkets and they've got the recycled and they're slightly grey, and you think, I don't want that. I don't want that old grey loo roll in there. I still want to have soft and sexy. Well, they've put the old grey loo roll and wrapped it up, and it's fabulous. And we're all buying it. And I love it that they just have this line. It's cool, it's edgy. Everything is recycled, and they put 50% of their profits into deforestation. And on their little tabs of paper, they have Mama Earth will feel proud. So what I'm getting to is that beautiful businesses like these, they harmonize trust and desire across every single corner of the mix. And we're all in this room together for better, you know, for a better world. And I know we're shifting the dial, but we're not moving fast enough. And we need to take more people on this journey with us, but taking them with us with joy, with energy, you know, to really shift from this unconscious demand into a new economy built on conscious demand. It's a great ambition, and it's one that we are pushing as hard as we can. Last thing I would leave you with, it takes hope. You know, if you ever find yourself sort of not talking in a hopeful, upbeat way, whether it's with the cabbie or to a neighbor, I think that's the biggest thing I've learned on this journey so far, spreading the word of hope. And that's what inspires people to get going and to be motivated and move in the same direction, because actually, as humans and the way we are, things are getting better. I mean, some businesses are still doing the same old shit, but so many businesses are doing amazing, innovative, beautiful things. And I think that's what the B Corp community is about, sharing those, acting as a catalyst and spreading our vision. And I'll leave you with these set of words. Of course, sustainability is important, but to progress, we must move beyond this. There is great beauty in that which only time can reveal. Rilke again. Thank you.
Amazing.
Wow, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Amazing.
What a great
Amazing.
session.
Love Mary Portas. I wanted to let her speak forever, guys, but we have to let you go to lunch, I'm afraid. I really loved, and I really don't want you to go away with just the image of Philip Green in his Speedos, but we do really, really want you to think about how you marry desire and trust to close that say-do gap as individuals and in your business. That was so inspiring. So absolutely, absolutely loved that.
So I think we should close this morning by remembering that today was from looking from the inside out, and that we are looking for practical, real ideas to take action in your business, your industry, and your individual roles.
And that we want you to do or to change, or to do and to change just one thing, and let us know about what you're doing and what you're changing tomorrow. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Well, I think maybe we should all be Wombles. What do you think?
Should we all be Wombles? Should
think
we
we
all
should all
recycle
be
and reuse
Wombles.
and use vintage? And yeah, I think we absolutely should. And I think we should look at those words from Chris and Charles' session this morning about impact, ambition, and collaboration, and keep those in the front of your mind as you attend this afternoon's session. So there's nothing to do left except to say, have a fantastic afternoon, say goodbye to our virtual audience, and to wish you a great lunch and a great afternoon, and see you here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thank you for taking part.
Thank
Cheers.
you,
Have
everyone.
a great afternoon. Cheers.